definition of cloud native, or my thoughts about cloud native, came pre-Kubernetes, because I did a lot of other container orchestrator stuff. And I also had to manage a private cloud. So what it effectively meant to me when I was teaching people the term cloud native meant that you could self-service, you were empowered to do things for any kind of resource you wanted to. Infrastructure is basically this definition of whatever your application needs to be supported. It could be metrics, it could be queues, it could be servers. So any of those things that you could self-service effectively became cloud. And to do it, to be able to use it within your applications, to use it within even data processing, meant that you had to change the way that things were written, the way that things were structured. So that inherently meant being cloud native. Can you run in this ecosystem of self-service resources?
That's great. And I think a lot of times as well too, something that I like to touch on a lot in our community is that as much as we have obviously very strong technical profiles, and this panel is no exception, sometimes, or I always think there's always a cultural element that goes along in this. And that as you said, is that, yes, we can talk about technical things, but we're really talking about a mindset and approach. Lily, since you've been working with Kubernetes for a while, and do you share the same thoughts as Rosemary regarding cloud native, or anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the cultural aspect is so important. Like convincing people or getting them to be in that right mindset makes it so much easier to explain the concepts and the terms and the technologies we use and why it's so important. So I definitely agree with Rosemary. Yeah.
Very, very good. Now, Jackie, thinking about KubeCon right now, we've got an interesting situation in the world. We're doing everything virtually. We're doing everything digitally. For someone in your role with, working as a developer advocate, working directly with all different kinds of folks from all different kinds of countries, how do you see the importance of KubeCon going on right now and what it's delivering to the world in the community sense?
Ooh, that's specific. So I'm going to start with my first KubeCon was last year, and I went as a DevOps engineer. So kind of going to that and seeing this like 12,000 person keynote is completely crazy. And then coming to this side of it where I'm not a DevOps engineer I was actually going to learn about state specifically last year. There was some problems we were running into that I want to figure out. Seeing everything continuing on one hand, I think brings like a sense of consistency and stability, and like it's easy to kind of feel really isolated with everything going on right now. And previously I felt pretty isolated trying to learn these things on my own anyway. So I think having the conference still go on at least continues to provide a place for people to learn and network, even if we're adapting to figure out what that is like. I forget if there's a second half to that question. I'm so sorry.
No. I think that's a really good point. No, I think it's a great point though too. Is that for a lot of folks out there that have maybe a difficult entry point, and obviously a physical event where you can go around and meet lots of people and visit stands and booths, etc., is really, really good. I think at the same time, I think all the organizers have done a really, really good job of there's tons of conversations going on right now in Slack. I don't know how many Slacks you've written today, but I've definitely written more than a couple. And like you said, a lot of, I think what this is about is people trying to solve problems in a common way, sharing ideas, being open, being willing to give a hand. And Thomas, maybe you can comment a little bit about that in your experience on a local level in Poland, from a community perspective. What are the things that you're working on in your community?
Well, basically, we're trying to convince people that the way that they worked previously, like with virtual machines, it's no longer viable. It's no longer valid for requirements of modern workloads, of modern software. So basically, we are trying to convince them that it's time to move on. It's time to start using containers even for stateful applications. So even when what is really important, even if you can't use cloud, if you for some reason you are forbidden to use cloud, for example, one of the most prominent examples is, for example, financial services. So even if you can't use public cloud, you can always use modern cloud native approach with Kubernetes and containers.